Okay, let's get into this. We're looking at a source today that, honestly, offers a really different angle on learning English fluency.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of throws out the usual textbook approach and focuses on something, well, something more internal.
Yeah, and what grabs you right away is this kind of bold claim it makes. English isn't actually that hard.
Right.
It suggests getting fluent, speaking naturally, isn't this huge mountain to climb that takes years. It reckons you can get there, well, a lot faster than most people think.
And it says the real problem, the thing holding most people back, isn't the language itself. It's not vocabulary lists or grammar rules.
No, it's pinpointing something else entirely.
Hmm.
It argues that most learners who get stuck, they don't lack the knowledge, not really. They're blocked by fear.
Fear.
Yeah.
Okay, unpack that a bit. What kind of fear are we talking about?
Well, the source breaks it down. It's things like the fear of making mistakes, saying the wrong word or tense.
Oh yeah, definitely felt that.
Or that awful feeling of embarrassment, maybe stumbling over pronunciation. And then there's the fear of being judged, like, what will people think if my English isn't perfect?
That makes so much sense. You can understand everything you read or hear, but then when it's your turn to talk.
Everything just freezes up. Yeah, and that feels like it goes way beyond just knowing the grammar, doesn't it?
It really does. So that's our mission for this deep dive, isn't it? To really dig into the methods, the mindset shifts this source is proposing.
Exactly. It's aimed squarely at you, the listener, if you want to learn effectively. Find those little aha moments and get some practical things you can actually do to get past these hurdles.
And start weaving English into your daily life more naturally.
The source kind of presents it as a journey, promising to show the steps, the secrets, I guess, to unlock that fluency. And it starts, maybe surprisingly, not with grammar lesson 1.
No, it starts with something much more fundamental, a shift in how you think about it all. So jumping right into part 1, this foundational shift, the source basically throws down the gauntlet right away, saying the biggest reason people fail isn't lack of knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Not about knowing enough words or sentence patterns.
It's fear, pure and simple.
Yeah, and it's worth really dwelling on those types of fear it mentions. Fear of errors, fear of sounding silly, fear of being judged.
We touched on those.
Right, but think how powerful they are. They create this, psychological wall that stops you even trying to speak, no matter how much English you actually understand.
It really clicks when you look at the contrast the source makes.
Yeah.
How we learned our first language.
Oh, totally. Think about it as babies. Did anyone give us grammar books, explain conjugations?
Of course not. You just listened.
You listened constantly. You copied sounds, words, phrases, and crucially, you made mistakes. Nonstop mistakes.
And nobody cared. It was expected.
Exactly. It was part of the process. You used the language every day, all day, because you needed to communicate. No formal study, no fear. The source basically says that's the natural way.
Which leads to this huge distinction it makes, maybe the core idea. You don't need to study English in that academic way. You need to live English.
Live English. What does that actually mean, according to the source?
It means it's not just another subject you do for an hour. It has to become like part of the background hum of your life.
Right. Not confined to a specific practice time. It means making sure you're hearing it, thinking in it, and, this is the big one, speaking it every single day.
Creating your own little English world, basically, wherever you happen to be.
Precisely. An immersion environment you build yourself.
Okay, so if living English is the aim, how do you start? Where's the first step? And this is where it gets interesting, because the source says, step 1 is all about your head.
Yeah, it's the mindset change, and it might sound a bit simplistic, but the source insists it's the absolute most important thing. Stop thinking English is difficult.
Just stop believing it's hard.
Pretty much. The logic is, if you truly believe it's this massive, difficult thing, your brain actually puts up resistance. It makes learning feel harder, slower.
Like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly. But if you can genuinely start believing, okay, English is actually quite manageable, I can do this, your brain becomes more receptive. It sort of opens up, learns faster.
The analogy it uses is quite good. The baby learning to walk one.
Oh, yeah, that's perfect. They fall down constantly, right?
All the time.
But they don't analyze why they fell or decide walking is too hard. They just, they get back up and try again. Maybe cry a bit first.
Oh, yeah.
But they keep going. Those falls aren't failures. They're just data, part of learning. The source says we need that same resilience with English. Mistakes aren't proof it's difficult. They're proof you're trying, proof you're learning.
So how do you actively change that belief, especially if you thought English was hard for years?
This is where affirmations come in. The source really pushes these. Simple, positive statements you repeat. Things like, English is easy, or I can speak English fluently. I am learning and getting better every day.
Saying them out loud.
Ideally, yes, or at least repeating them consistently in your head. It's about reprogramming that subconscious belief. The more you say it, the more your brain starts to accept it as true.
And just as crucial is stopping the negative stuff, right?
Oh, absolutely critical. The source is really strong on this. Never, ever say things like, my English is terrible, or I just can't speak English.
Why is that so bad?
Because you're literally programming yourself for failure. You're reinforcing the exact belief that's holding you back.
So what's the alternative if you know your English isn't perfect yet?
Reframe it. Instead of my English is bad, say, I am learning and improving every day. See the difference.
Yeah, it shifts from a fixed negative state to like a positive process.
Precisely. It's focusing on the journey, the progress. And the source claims this small change in how you talk to yourself makes a huge difference to your motivation and actual progress.
Okay, mindset shift check. Starting to believe it's possible. Now, how do you actually start doing things differently? How do you start living it?
This leads straight into step 2. Surround yourself with English. This is where the practical stuff really kicks in.
And you don't need to move to London or New York, it said.
Yep, absolutely not. You create your own English bubble right where you are.
First tip is almost too simple. Change your phone language.
Huh. Yeah, it sounds minor, but think about how many times a day you look at your phone.
Constantly.
Every menu, every notification, settings, app names, they're all in English. It's this constant, low-level exposure. Your brain just starts getting comfortable seeing and processing English words all the time, almost without you noticing.
Okay, that makes sense. What else?
Then comes a really big one, maybe the most powerful technique the source mentions. Start thinking in English.
Whoa, okay. How does that work? Most people think in their native language, right?
Exactly, and that's the problem it identifies. You think the thought in, say, Spanish or Japanese, then you mentally translate it into English, then you try to speak it.
Which feels really slow and awkward. That hesitation.
That's the translation lag. It's unnatural. So the solution is, well, direct. Train your brain to skip the translation. Think directly in English.
But how? Especially if you're a beginner. You can't just suddenly think complex thoughts in English.
No, you start super simple, mundane stuff. The source gives examples like, when you wake up, instead of your usual thought, consciously think the English. I will brush my teeth now.
Okay.
Making coffee. Think, I am making coffee. Going outside. Think, the weather is nice today. Simple, everyday actions and observations.
Probably feels really weird at first.
Oh, the source says it absolutely will. It might feel slow, even a bit silly. But stick with it. Consistency is key. Your brain gets used to it, gets better at forming thoughts directly in English, and eventually those simple English thoughts just appear automatically.
Okay, thinking in English. Got it. What's next for surrounding yourself?
Talking to yourself. Out loud.
Uh-huh. This is the one where people might think you've lost it.
Maybe. But the source argues it's one of the best ways to improve your actual speaking fluency.
Why is that?
Zero pressure. No one's listening. No one's judging. You can practice forming sentences, making the sounds, linking words together in a totally safe space. It's practice without the fear.
What would you even say?
Keep it simple. The source gives an example like looking in the mirror and saying, hello, how are you today? I am good. I have a lot of work to do, but I'm feeling great. Just getting used to vocalizing English thoughts.
And that builds confidence for real conversations.
That's the idea. The more you practice the physical act of speaking, even just to the air, the less scary it feels when you have to do it with another person. It builds that muscle memory.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Anything else for creating this English world?
One more very practical, hands-on thing, labeling.
Labeling, like sticky notes?
Exactly. Write the English word for common objects on sticky notes and put them on the objects. Door on the door, table on the table, refrigerator, mirror, window.
And then what? Just look at them.
Read them aloud every time you see them, but not just the word. The source suggests making a tiny sentence. See the note on the book. Say, this is a book. The book is on the table. See the cup. This is a cup. I drink tea from this cup.
Ah, so you're connecting the word, the object, and a simple sentence structure and saying it out loud.
Precisely. It's multisensory. Visual, auditory, contextual. It helps train your brain to automatically link the object to the English word, skipping that native language step again. It makes that everyday vocabulary much more automatic.
Right, so we've got the mindset shift. We're building the environment. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, for many learners,
Hmm.
grammar. And actually
Well-
speaking, this is step 3, right?
Yeah.
But it seems tied into everything else.
It absolutely is. The source doesn't treat grammar as a separate subject to master before speaking. In fact, it calls focusing too much on perfect grammar early on a big mistake.
Why a mistake? Isn't grammar important?
Of course it's important for clear communication eventually, but the source argues that obsessing over it before you're comfortable speaking just feeds that fear we talked about.
The fear of making mistakes.
Exactly. You get so worried about the perfect tense or the right preposition that you just clam up. You don't speak at all. You trap the English you do know inside.
So what's the approach then? Just ignore grammar.
Not ignore it, but prioritize differently. The source says, learn to speak first, focus on getting your meaning across, and then refine the grammar as you go.
Like the kids again?
Precisely. Kids don't learn grammar rules explicitly. They absorb patterns by listening and using the language. Their fluency comes first, and the grammatical accuracy develops naturally over time through exposure and practice.
So instead of drilling verb tables,
Focus on learning simple whole sentences. Things like, I am eating, she is going to the market, they are playing football, these basic patterns.
yeah, the idea is you absorb the grammar from these sentences.
Yeah, by hearing them, saying them, using them repeatedly in context, the grammatical structures start to feel natural, intuitive, rather than like a set of rules you have to consciously apply every time you speak.
And the main way to make that happen.
Listen more, copy more. That's the core practice. Find native English audio or video, listen carefully to a sentence, and then repeat it out loud.
Mimicking everything.
Everything. The pronunciation, the rhythm, the intonation, as close as you can get. The source insists this act of mimicry is key. It trains your mouth and brain to produce English sounds and structures correctly and automatically.
Okay, so speak first. Worry less about perfect grammar initially. Learn through simple sentences and copying. How does this translate into, like, using English day to day? The source gets really specific here, doesn't it?
It does. It really doubles down on the idea that you probably already know enough English to start using it in your daily routine. You just need to activate it.
By linking it to what you're already doing.
Exactly. It walks you through a typical day, showing how almost every moment can be a mini English practice session.
Let's go through that. It starts right from waking up.
Yep, back to talking to yourself. As you get out of bed, verbalize it simply. Good morning, I feel fresh today, I had a nice sleep. Let me get up and brush my teeth.
Saying it out loud.
Saying it out loud. Then in the bathroom. I am brushing my teeth, now I am washing my face, let me take a shower. In the kitchen, I am making tea. This tea smells so good. I am eating toast with butter.
Even if you're alone.
Especially if you're alone. It's the act of forming and speaking the sentences that matters. It builds that comfort, that readiness to use English for simple, concrete things.
Then it moves into actual conversations, starting small, like with family.
Yeah, it gives a really simple morning greeting example. Good morning, Mom. Good morning. How did you sleep? I slept well. What are you making for breakfast? Eggs and toast. Do you want some tea? Yes, please. Okay, here you go. Thank you.
Super basic, but functional.
That's the point. Simple, functional, relevant to the moment. You're not trying to debate philosophy. You're just communicating basic needs and pleasantries. It's manageable.
What about going out? Like shopping.
Same principle. Planning. Think or say, I need to buy some vegetables. Let me check my list. I will take a bus to the market. You're narrating your plans in English.
And then it gives that whole market interaction example.
Yes. Which is great because it's so practical. Asking for tomatoes, the price, deciding how much, asking for onions, getting the total, paying.
Let's hear that again, roughly.
It goes something like, excuse me, do you have fresh tomatoes? Yes, here. How much per kilo? $2. Okay, I'll take 2 kilos. Anything else? Yes, onions too. Here you go. That's $5 total. Here's the money. Thank you. Thank you. Have a nice day.
See, that's communication. It might not be fancy, but you bought your groceries in English.
Exactly. And the source argues that practicing these kinds of common, predictable scenarios builds immense confidence. It shows you that you can function in English right now.
It has examples for meeting friends, too, right?
Yep. Simple stuff. Hey, how are you? Good, you. Great. What are you doing? Nothing much? Want to go for a walk? Sure, sounds good. Again, basic, but effective.
And ordering coffee. Classic situation.
Classic. What do you want? Coffee. You. Lemonade. Okay, waiter. Yes, what would you like? 1 coffee, 1 lemonade, please? Anything else? No, that's all. Okay, coming right up.
You can see the pattern. Use simple, direct language for the task at hand.
And it continues into the evening, talking about your day with family. Long day today. What did you do? Went to the market, met my friend. Nice. What did you buy? Vegetables. Good. Let's have dinner. Yes, I'm hungry.
And ending the day.
Back to talking to yourself before sleep. Today was a good day. Learn some new things. Tomorrow, wake up early. Practice morning English. Time to sleep now. Good night.
So the core idea is that by rehearsing these simple daily conversations, maybe using the source's examples as a starting point, you're actively training yourself.
You're building scripts almost, familiar patterns for common situations, and the source promises this dramatically reduces that panic or hesitation when you face the real thing.
Because you've kind of done it before, even if just with yourself.
Exactly. And that idea of listening and repeating is woven through all of this. Don't just read the examples. Listen to how people actually say these things and copy them. Here, I am going to the market. Say, I am going to the market. Mimicking the sound.
That mimicry seems really important in this method.
The source stresses it. It says it's the fastest way to improve pronunciation and make your speech sound more natural, even with simple sentences. Daily, deliberate copying.
Okay, so that covers the daily integration.
Yeah.
But what about getting, well, better? Moving beyond basic functionality towards real fluency, tackling that nervousness.
Right. This is where the source focuses on elevating your skills, specifically targeting confidence and pronunciation.
Because it acknowledges that knowing some English isn't the same as speaking confidently. Many people get stuck there.
Exactly. You might read well, understand loads, but speaking still feels like a hurdle. That fear of mistakes, worrying if people understand your accent, just general nerves.
Yeah, those are real.
But the source is really encouraging here. It insists that even if your English isn't perfect, you can learn to speak confidently by following these methods. It asks you, the listener, to think. Does that sound like you? The fear, the worry about pronunciation, not enough practice, translating in your head?
If yes, then it offers the perfect solution, which involves
Tackling pronunciation directly, building confidence systematically, and really drilling down on that thinking in English idea.
Let's start with pronunciation. What's the goal here? Sounding like a native speaker.
No, the source is clear about that. The goal isn't necessarily a specific accent, like American or British. It's clear pronunciation, speaking so people can understand you easily. That's it.
Okay. Achievable. How?
Back to basics. Listen and copy. Still the fastest way, it says. Find simple audio a sentence even. Listen really carefully.
Like that I want to go to the park example.
Exactly. Listen to how a native speaker says it each sound, the rhythm, then repeat it. Try to match them exactly, and do it again and again. Repetition is key. It trains your mouth.
What else for pronunciation?
Speak slowly and clearly. This one's interesting because people often think faster equals more fluent.
Yeah, you hear fast speakers and think, wow.
But the source argues that trying to rush when you're not ready just leads to mumbled, unclear speech. It's much better to speak at a moderate pace, enunciating clearly. People will understand you better, which is fluency. Clarity over speed.
Good point. And recording yourself.
Highly recommended. Record yourself saying a sentence or two on your phone, then listen back critically.
Ooh, cringe factor potentially high there.
Oh, maybe initially, but then compare your recording to a native speaker saying the same thing. The source says you'll immediately hear where the differences are specific sounds, intonation. It gives you targeted things to work on.
Okay, practical tips for pronunciation, but what about just feeling shy or nervous?
Yeah, confidence building. The source has direct advice here too. First, big one. Stop obsessing over mistakes.
Easier said than done, maybe.
Perhaps, but it hammers this point home. Mistakes are normal. They're necessary. Everyone makes them. Even native speakers stumble sometimes. Don't let the fear of imperfection silence you.
Okay. And the second point.
Speak English every single day. We keep coming back to this, but it's crucial for confidence. Confidence comes from doing, from practice. Even 15 minutes a day. Talk to yourself, talk to a friend, talk to the mirror. Just speak. Daily.
Consistency builds capability, builds confidence.
Exactly. Then there's the 3-second rule. Heard of this?
No, what's that?
When someone asks you something or you need to say something, don't pause and agonize over the perfect response. Give yourself 3 seconds, max, then just speak.
Why 3 seconds?
Because waiting longer lets the anxiety build. If someone asks, what did you do yesterday? Don't wait 10 seconds trying to craft a masterpiece. 3 seconds, then just say something simple. I went to the park, watched a movie, had a great day. Get something out quickly. It short circuits the hesitation loop.
Interesting technique.
And finally, for confidence. Practice real conversations. The more you actually use English to communicate with people, the less scary it becomes. All that daily practice feeds into this.
Which loops us back to what the source calls the ultimate key, the real game changer for fluency. Thinking in English. It revisits this, right?
It does for a deeper dive, because in its view, this is the thing you have to master for natural, spontaneous speech. It says you must train your brain to think directly in English.
Remind us why translating is so bad again.
Because it's slow and clunky. Brain process. 1. Native thought. 2. Mental translation. 3. Speak translated English. Too many steps, too much delay, too much effort.
The goal is just 1. English thought. 2. Speak English thought.
Bingo. Instantaneous. Effortless. That's the fluency target, and the source insists it's trainable, even for beginners.
How do you start training that practically?
Start with single words. Super simple. Throughout your day, consciously label things around you only using the English word in your head. See your bed. Think bed. Not your native word, just bed. Pillow. Pillow. Window. Window. Tree outside. Tree. Car. Car.
Just replacing the native label with the English one in your internal monologue.
Exactly. All day long. That's step 1. Building those direct object English word connections.
Then what?
Move to simple sentences in your head. Narrate your actions directly in English. Brushing teeth. Think, I am brushing my teeth. Eating. I am eating rice. Food tastes good. This food is delicious. Again, the key is trying to form the thought directly in simple English, not translating a more complex native thought.
And talking to yourself helps reinforce this.
Massively, because you're taking those simple, direct English thoughts and immediately turning them into spoken words. I am choosing my clothes. I will wear a blue shirt today. The weather is nice. I see a little girl playing. It's direct thought-to-speech practice.
What about input? Watching movies, listening to stuff?
Still vital. Daily exposure to authentic English movies, videos, subtitles okay at first, podcasts, simple reading feeds your brain the patterns and vocabulary it needs to start thinking in English more easily. More input helps fuel the thinking process.
But the source has a big warning here, doesn't it? About just consuming.
Oh yeah, huge warning. Listening and reading are necessary, but they are not sufficient for fluency. Especially speaking fluency and thinking in English, you can listen for years and still hesitate to speak.
Why?
Because you haven't practiced the output. You haven't forced your brain to retrieve the language quickly and construct thoughts directly in English under the pressure of communication. The source is adamant. You must speak. Talk to people. Talk to yourself. Just practice producing the language. That's what wires your brain to think in it.
So it even gives a daily plan for this thinking in English training.
It does, very explicitly. It makes it super actionable.
Let's recap that plan.
Okay. Morning. Name everything around you in English objects. Afternoon. Make simple English sentences in your mind. Narrate actions, observations. Evening. Watch or listen to English for at least 20 minutes. Input. Night. Speak to yourself in English for 5-10 minutes. Output consolidation.
Simple steps done daily.
And the promise is, stick to that daily routine, and within a few weeks, you'll notice a difference. Your brain will start making the shift. Hesitation will decrease.
And any final tips on just stopping the hesitations, getting the words out?
The main one is just speak. Don't overthink. Don't aim for perfection. And if you forget a word...
Find another way.
Exactly. Use simpler words you do know. Don't freeze. Keep communicating. Remember the keys example. Can't remember lost. Say, I don't have my keys. I don't know where they are. Same meaning, simpler words, keeps the conversation flowing.
And crucially...
Don't worry about what other people think.
Okay, so those are ways to say you just don't know. What about in a professional setting where I don't know isn't enough? You need to find the answer.
Right. Here, the language shifts to managing the situation and offering follow-up. The source suggests a smart first step. Ask for a deadline. When do you need to know by?
Good move. Buys you time and sets expectations.
Exactly. Then you offer to get the information. Let me get that for you, or let me find out, or let me look into this. The source points out that native speakers often use contractions here. I'll find out. I'll look into this.
And a key phrase for promising to follow up.
I'll get back to you. You often combine this with why you can't answer now. I need to check something first and I'll get back to you. Or I need to confirm, verify, look into this and I'll get back to you.
And you can specify when you'll get back to them.
Yes, absolutely. And I'll get back to you by time date, like by the end of the day or by tomorrow afternoon. And it's good practice to confirm if that time frame works. Does that work for you?
What if you just need to admit you don't know it right now, off the top of your head?
I'm not sure offhand. The source explains offhand means without checking, just from memory right now.
Is there an alternative to offhand?
Yes. I'm not sure off the top of my head. Same, meaning the information isn't immediately accessible in my brain.
And specifying follow-up time using in.
Yeah. And I'll email you the information in time, like in about 30 minutes or in an hour. Or if it's urgent, the source mentions using ASAP, and I'll get back to you, ASAP. Pronounced ASAP or ASAP.
Wow, that's a whole strategy just for handling. I don't know. It shows you can still sound competent and helpful even when you lack the info immediately.
It really does. It's about managing the interaction professionally. Okay, so moving from not knowing to not understanding, how does the source say we should ask for clarification or check if we are being understood?
Right. Crucial for avoiding miscommunication. If you didn't hear or understand, the source says a simple, "Sorry, I didn't catch that," is very common and polite.
What if it's a specific word or phrase?
"Sorry, what does X mean?" Or if you didn't grasp the overall meaning, "Sorry, what do you mean by X?"
And if the problem is how they're speaking, too quiet.
"Could you speak up a little?" The source clarifies speak up means speak louder.
Too fast.
"Could you slow down a little?" Using "could you" makes these requests polite.
Okay, now flipping it. When you've explained something, how do you check if the other person got it?
The source gives several options here. Very common. Do you know what I mean? Or does that make sense?
Yep.
You can add "to you," but often don't need to.
And the really short version.
Makes sense. Just like that, with a rising intonation at the end. Super common quick check.
Yeah, I use that one all the time.
Me too.
Mm.
Similar ones. The source lists are, "Does it sound good to you?" Or the short form, "sound good." Again, with that upward inflection.
Okay. And there's an idiom the source mentions for checking agreement or shared understanding.
Yes, "Are we on the same page?" The source explains this means, do we agree? Or do we understand the situation the same way?
And if the answer is yes,
You can just confirm, yep, we're on the same page.
perfect. These are so vital for keeping communication clear and making sure everyone's aligned. Okay, this leads us nicely into a really rich section the source covers.
Idioms.
Ah, yes, idioms. The source really emphasizes these, saying they're crucial for sounding natural and for understanding native speakers, right?
Absolutely. It positions them as a key part of fluency. The masterclass apparently covers 50 common ones. Now, we probably can't break down all 50 in minute detail here.
No, that would be a deep dive in itself. Exactly. But we can definitely look at a good selection provided in the source, get a feel for what they mean and how they're used, give everyone a taste of their power.
Sounds like a plan. Which ones does the source highlight?
Okay, one of the first is to play something by ear.
Play by ear? Like music.
Sort of, but it means deciding how to handle a situation as it unfolds, rather than making firm plans beforehand. The classic example the source gives is weekend plans. What should we do this weekend? Let's just play it by ear.
So being spontaneous. Got it. What about to be all ears?
That means you're fully listening, giving your complete attention. The source uses a work example. Maybe you want to pitch an idea and your boss says, "Okay, I'm all ears." It signals they're ready and focused on what you have to say.
A good way to show you're ready to listen. Here's a fun one. To wake up on the wrong side of the bed.
Yes, the source explains this just means waking up grumpy, irritable, in a bad mood for no particular reason. You might say about someone else, "Wow, someone woke up on the wrong side of the bed today."
We've all been there. How about to wing something?
This means doing something, like giving a presentation or maybe even an interview answer without proper preparation, kind of improvising it. The source wisely notes you would not want to wing an important exam like IELTS.
Definitely not. Good advice. To make a mountain out of a molehill.
A great visual idiom. A molehill is tiny, a mountain is huge. The source says it means exaggerating a small problem, making it seem much bigger or more serious than it actually is. Like, okay, calm down, it was a tiny mistake. Don't make a mountain out of a molehill.
Right, keeping perspective. To be at a crossroads.
This describes being at a point where you have to make a significant decision, one that could change your path. Like deciding on a career change after many years, I feel like I'm at a crossroads.
A major decision point. Let's talk weather idioms. To rain cats and dogs.
Simple, classic, vivid. It just means it's raining extremely heavily. Wow, look outside. It's raining cats and dogs.
Can't beat that one. Feeling good. To be on top of the world.
That means feeling incredibly happy, ecstatic, like everything is perfect. Maybe after getting great news or achieving something big. I just got the promotion. I'm on top of the world.
Pure elation. How about relationship dynamics? To give someone the cold shoulder.
The source explains this means intentionally ignoring someone or being unfriendly, usually because you're angry or upset with them. Why are you giving me the cold shoulder? Did I do something wrong?
Like emotional distance. What about avoiding a decision? To sit on the fence.
This means delaying or refusing to choose between two options or take sides in an argument, often because it's difficult or you're unsure. A manager who won't decide on a project might be accused of sitting on the fence.
Indecisiveness.
Yeah.
Okay, here's one we saw mentioned earlier, but it's listed as an idiom: to hit the nail on the head.
And the source reinforces its meaning here: to be exactly right about something, to identify the core issue perfectly. You really hit the nail on the head when you said the main problem was communication.
Confirming accuracy. How about health? To be as fit as a fiddle.
A fiddle is a violin. This idiom means to be in excellent physical health, very energetic and well. My grandpa is 85, but he's still as fit as a fiddle.
Vibrant health. To get something out of your system.
The source says this means doing something you've been wanting or needing to do for a long time so you can finally stop thinking or worrying about it. Like, if you keep talking about wanting to try skydiving, a friend might say, just do it and get it out of your system.
Addressing that lingering urge. What about when someone shows up unexpectedly? Speak of the devil.
Yeah, the source clarifies this doesn't mean the person is actually bad. It's used when you happen to be talking about someone and then that very person appears or calls right at that moment. We're just talking about Mark. Speak of the devil, here he comes.
A funny coincidence. To give someone the benefit of the doubt.
This means choosing to believe someone is telling the truth or had good intentions, even if there are reasons to be suspicious. Like, if a colleague has an excuse for being late, the boss might say, okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt this time.
Choosing trust. A classic motivator. No pain, no gain.
And the source defines it straightforwardly. You have to work hard, maybe endure some difficulty or discomfort to achieve something worthwhile. Often used for exercise or learning new skills. Learning guitar is tough, but no pain, no gain.
Encouraging perseverance. Hang in there.
This is a phrase of encouragement telling someone not to give up during a difficult time, to keep going. I know things are tough right now, but hang in there. It'll get better.
Offering support. A penny for your thoughts.
The source explains this is a gentle, often kind way to ask someone what they're thinking about, especially if they seem quiet, distracted, or thoughtful. You seem miles away. A penny for your thoughts.
Inviting them to share. It's not rocket science.
Rocket science is seen as super complex, so this idiom means something is not difficult to do or understand. Come on, you can figure out this new software. It's not rocket science.
Making something seem achievable. To let someone off the hook.
The source says this means deciding not to punish someone or hold them responsible for something they did wrong. Maybe a boss lets an employee off the hook for a minor mistake. I made an error, but thankfully my manager let me off the hook.
Forgiveness or exemption. To make a long story short.
This signals you're about to give the brief, summarized version of a more complicated story, skipping the details. So, what happened on your trip? Well, long story short, we missed our flight, but eventually got there.
Getting to the point, easy does it.
The source defines this simply as slow down or be careful, used when someone needs to do something gently or cautiously, like carrying something fragile. Whoa, easy does it with that face.
A caution to be gentle. To go back to the drawing board.
This means a plan or idea has failed and you need to start over from the very beginning. The client hated the initial design, so we have to go back to the drawing board.
Starting the planning again. Once in a blue moon.
A blue moon is a rare astronomical event, so the source says this idiom means something happens very infrequently. I'd love to go to the opera, but I only get to go once in a blue moon.
Very rare.
Yeah.
At the drop of a hat.
This means doing something immediately without any hesitation or needing advance notice. She's always willing to help. She'll come over at the drop of a hat if you need her.
Instant action. To add insult to injury.
The source explains this is when something bad happens and then another bad thing happens right after, making the situation even worse. First, I lost my wallet, and then, to add insult to injury, it started pouring rain.
Piling on the misfortune. To hit the sack.
A very common informal idiom meaning simply to go to bed or go to sleep. Okay, I'm exhausted. Time to hit the sack.
Ready for sleep. Here's another repeat from earlier used idiomatically. The ball's in your court.
Right, and the source again emphasizes it means it's now someone else's responsibility to make the next move or decision. We sent them the contract, the ball's in their court now.
Passing the responsibility. What about being mistaken about something or someone? To be barking up the wrong tree.
The source explains this means you're pursuing the wrong course of action, blaming the wrong person, or looking for something in the wrong place. If you think I broke the vase, you're barking up the wrong tree. It was the cat.
Misdirected effort or accusation. to get your ducks in a row.
This means getting everything organized, prepared, and ready, especially before starting something important. Before the presentation, make sure you have all your ducks in a row, slides, notes, everything.
Being well prepared to get the best of both worlds.
This idiom describes having the advantages of two different things at the same time, often things that are usually mutually exclusive, like living in a quiet countryside area but having an easy commute to the city. She really gets the best of both worlds.
Enjoying dual benefits, the lion's share.
The source defines this as the largest portion or majority of something, often used when talking about work or rewards. He always takes the lion's share of the credit.
The biggest piece, to be on the ball.
This means being alert, quick to understand, competent, and efficient. Wow, you finished that report already. You're really on the ball today.
Performing effectively. To pull someone's leg.
The source explains this means teasing someone or joking with them by telling them something untrue, usually playfully. Wait, did you really win the lottery? Nah, I'm just pulling your leg.
Just kidding around. To pull yourself together.
This idiom means regaining control of your emotions, calming down, especially after being upset or panicked. Okay, take a deep breath. You need to pull yourself together before the meeting.
Getting composed. So far, so good.
The source says this is used to indicate that things are progressing well up to the current point, but acknowledging that could change. How's the project going? So far, so good. No major issues yet.
A positive status update. To be the last straw.
This refers to the final event in a series of annoyances that makes you finally lose your patience or tolerance. He was late again, forgot the documents, and then spilled coffee on me. That was the last straw.
Reaching the breaking point. Time flies when you're having fun.
A very common saying. It means that time seems to pass quickly when you're enjoying yourself. Wow, is it midnight already? We've been talking for hours. Time flies when you're having fun.
Enjoyment makes time speed up. To be bent out of shape.
The source says this means getting unnecessarily upset, angry, or worried about something, often something quite small. Don't get so bent out of shape about the typo. It's easy to fix.
Overreacting. To make matters worse.
Similar to add insult to injury, this phrase introduces something that makes an already bad situation even more difficult. The car broke down, and to make matters worse, my phone battery died.
Exacerbating a problem. Don't judge a book by its cover.
A widely known piece of advice. It means you shouldn't form an opinion based only on outward appearance. He looks quiet, but he's actually brilliant. Don't judge a book by its cover.
Look deeper. To fall between two stools.
An interesting one. The source explains it means failing to achieve either of two aims because you're trying to satisfy both inadequately, like a restaurant trying to be both cheap and gourmet, ending up being neither. Their strategy tried to please everyone and fell between two stools.
Failing by trying to compromise too much. To cost an arm and a leg.
This simply means something is extremely expensive. I'd love that designer handbag, but it costs an arm and a leg.
Very pricey. To cross that bridge when you come to it.
The source explains this advises against worrying about potential future problems before they actually happen. Deal with them if and when they arise. What if the flight is delayed? Let's not worry about that now. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Deal with problems as they occur. To cry over spilt milk.
Or sometimes spilled milk. This idiom means getting upset or complaining about something bad that has already happened and cannot be changed. Okay, you made a mistake, but there's no use crying over spilt milk now. Let's fix it.
Don't dwell on the unchangeable past. Curiosity killed the cat.
This is used as a mild warning against being too nosy or inquisitive, suggesting it could lead to trouble. Why do you need to know his salary? Just curious. Well, curiosity killed the cat.
A warning about prying. To miss the boat.
The source defines this as losing an opportunity because you acted too late or hesitated. They were selling cheap tickets last week, but I waited too long and missed the boat.
Opportunity lost due to delay. To be on fire.
This idiom means someone is performing exceptionally well, having great success, often in a rapid or impressive way, like a salesperson making many sales, or an athlete playing brilliantly. She answered every question perfectly in the interview. She was on fire.
Performing outstandingly. To spill the beans.
The source says this means revealing a secret or telling something that was supposed to be kept confidential, often accidentally. Don't tell Sarah about the surprise party. She's terrible at keeping secrets and always spills the beans.
Revealing secret information. And one more the source defined.
To be under the weather. Yes, a very common way to say you're feeling slightly ill, not seriously sick, but just not feeling well. I think I'll take the day off. I'm feeling a bit under the weather.
Feeling unwell. Okay, the source listed to be out of the woods. But the definition wasn't complete in our material, so sticking to the ones with explanations, that's a really solid dive into common idioms.
It really is. And you can see how sprinkling these into your conversation, naturally not forcing them, but using them where they fit, makes your English sound much more native-like and expressive.
Absolutely. It adds color and nuance.
Mm.
Okay, moving on from idioms, the source then tackles how to share opinions and perspectives. This is huge, especially professionally. It mentions covering over 50 phrases for this.
Another area with massive variety. So how does the guide suggest introducing your personal opinion? What are the options beyond just, I think?
It recommends picking maybe 2 or 3 phrases you like to start with, then gradually adding more so you don't sound repetitive. It gives a whole list, ranging from common to slightly more formal. Things like, in my opinion, as far as I'm concerned, from my perspective, from my point of view. Personally, I think that.
Okay, so several ways to frame it as your view.
Exactly. Also, in my view, I'd say that, which is quite common and natural. I believe that, and then stronger versions like I strongly believe that or I firmly believe that.
Showing conviction.
Right. And even stronger. I'm convinced that, or there's no doubt in my mind that. Also, I feel that in my mind, and it seems to me that.
Wow, that's a lot of options just to introduce your viewpoint.
It really is. And just using something other than I think immediately makes your language sound a bit more varied and maybe more thoughtful. The source uses an example idea, like, we should hire a marketing expert to build our website.
And you could introduce that with any of these phrases.
Exactly. From my perspective, we should hire a marketing expert. Or, I'm convinced that we should hire a marketing expert. The guide really pushes for using a variety of these.
And the source actually comes back to variations on, I think, later on too, doesn't it? We could weave some of those in here for a fuller picture.
Good idea. So for equivalents to I think that sound natural, the source mentions I'd say is very common. Also framing it as if you ask me, I'd say.
Okay.
For emphasizing it's your personal take, it seems to me that, which we had, but also the way I see it, or even just to me. The source also notes, I reckon, is used in some regions.
Right, I reckon has a more specific regional flavor.
And then there are phrases you add after stating your opinion, like that's my take on it, meaning that's my view or interpretation. Or the idiom, that's my 2 cents. Which is a casual way to offer your opinion, sometimes implying, might not be worth much, but here it is anyway.
Okay, so ways to frame the opinion itself and ways to label it afterwards. What about expressing different levels of certainty in your opinion?
The source covers this too. For 100% certainty, I'm sure, I'm certain, I'm positive.
Strong and clear.
For more formal certainty, you might use it's obvious that, or employ strong adjectives like indisputable, undeniable, unquestionable, or the phrase beyond a doubt with it's, like it's undeniable that we need to adapt.
Very forceful language. What about the opposite? Expressing doubt or uncertainty in your opinion.
Phrases like it's possible that, it's probable that, or it's likely that signal less than full certainty.
Okay.
And for opinions based more on gut feeling or intuition, not hard evidence, the source gives I figure, I gather, or specifically, I have a hunch that.
I have a hunch. I like that one. It clearly signals it's an intuition.
And phrases that explicitly show you might be wrong, more diplomatic ways to state an opinion.
Yes, the source provides things like, correct me if I'm wrong, but, or, if I'm not mistaken, also to the best of my knowledge, which indicates your opinion is based on what you currently know, acknowledging it might be incomplete.
Those are really useful for navigating sensitive topics or admitting limitations. Okay, now disagreeing. The source warns that just saying I disagree with you can sound a bit blunt or argumentative.
It definitely can, especially in professional or polite contexts. So what are the softer alternatives?
Adding I'm afraid is a common softener. I'm afraid I disagree with you. Makes it sound gentler, more regretful.
Okay. What about acknowledging their point first?
This is a key strategy the source highlights for polite disagreement, using phrases like, on the contrary, or I understand where you're coming from, but I respect your opinion, but that's a good point, however, or I see your point, but I have a different perspective.
So you show you've heard and considered their view before presenting yours.
Exactly. It validates their contribution before countering it. You can also explicitly ask permission. Can I share my opinion? Or frame it as offering another angle. That's one way of looking at it. But have you considered?
And the source reminds us again. Combine these disagreement prefaces with your actual opinion phrases.
Right, so I understand where you're coming from, but from my perspective, we need to look at the long-term costs. Makes for a well-rounded, polite disagreement.
Excellent. Now, shifting slightly, what about sharing a general opinion? Not just your personal view, but something widely believed or accepted.
The source provides specific phrases for this too. Things like, it's said that,
Oh.
it's believed that, I've heard that,
Yeah.
it's considered that, it's generally accepted that, most agree that,
Mhm.
some say that.
Okay, ways to attribute the opinion more broadly.
Yes, and a strong one. It goes without saying that. This implies it's obvious, but you're stating it for emphasis.
Right.
And if the opinion comes from experts, researchers suggest that, or experts agree that.
And can you combine these general opinion starters with your own view?
Absolutely. The source shows this, like, it's generally accepted that practice is key, and personally, I couldn't agree more. Or, some say X is true, however, from my point of view, Y is the case. It lets you position your personal take relative to the common view.
Very useful for structuring arguments or participating in discussions. Lastly, how does the source suggest we ask for someone else's opinion?
Lots of ways here, too. The direct ones. Do you agree? What's your opinion? What do you think? What are your thoughts? What's your view? How do you see the situation? What's your take on it?
And simpler, more conversational ways.
Especially after you've just given your opinion, you can use, what about you? Or, how about you?
Right, turning it back to them.
And if you want to ask about their specific experience related to the topic, has that been your experience or what has your experience been? The source also lists, are we on the same page? Again, here, in the context of seeking agreement. And is that something you would support too?
Okay, another really comprehensive toolkit. Just having these phrases for agreeing, disagreeing, sharing personal or general views, and asking for opinions gives you so much more flexibility and nuance.
It really moves you beyond just basic statements. Okay, next up, the source tackles something it calls the secret to really elevating your English, transition words.
Ah, yes, the connectors. It makes a big claim for them. But honestly, they are incredibly important. They're like the signposts and the glue for your ideas. They show how sentences and paragraphs relate to each other, making everything flow logically.
And the source stresses they're not just for formal writing, right? They're key in spoken English too.
Exactly. They help your listener follow your train of thought. The source mentions covering over 50 of them, grouped by function.
Okay, let's look at the categories. First up, cause and effect, or causation.
Right. These words show that one thing caused or resulted in another. The basic example given is, I spilled my coffee. As a result, I changed my shirt. Spilling led to changing. The source lists words from more formal to less formal. Consequently, hence, accordingly, thus, for that reason, as a result, therefore, and so, since, because, due to.
And the formality really matters here, doesn't it? You wouldn't usually say, hence I changed my shirt after spilling coffee.
Probably not. But in a business context, the source gives the example. The project is over budget. Consequently, hence, therefore, we need to cut costs. There, the more formal words fit perfectly. You choose based on the situation.
Makes sense. Next category, chronology showing time sequence.
Ordering events, the simple example. First, I went to the store. Then I worked out. Finally, I made dinner. The source gives options for the first step. Firstly, to start, to begin, at the beginning or at the start.
And for the steps in between, second, third, etc.
Secondly, afterwards, next. Then subsequently, later. The source points out that many of these can be used repeatedly, so it's good to vary them if you have a longer sequence to avoid sounding robotic, like first, then, after that, next.
Good tip. And for the very last step.
Finally, lastly, and the nice phrase, last but not least, these clearly signal the end of the sequence.
Okay, chronological order covered. How about contrast, showing opposing ideas?
Right. Example. I love ice cream. However, I'm lactose intolerant. Two conflicting ideas. The source lists transitions again, roughly from formal to informal. However, nonetheless, still in contrast. On the other hand, conversely, while, whereas.
And again, formality dictates the choice. I love ice cream, but I'm lactose intolerant. Super common, casual. I love ice cream, however, I'm lactose intolerant. Sounds more formal, maybe written.
Exactly. Or using while or although at the beginning. Although I love ice cream, I'm lactose intolerant. Different structure, same contrast.
What about adding similar ideas? The addition category.
This is for linking related points. Example, I love ice cream. Furthermore, I love cake. The source lists. Furthermore, moreover, further, these are quite formal, then additionally, in addition, also, and as well as, coupled with, along with, together with.
So instead of just short, choppy sentences, you get, I love ice cream, and I also love cake.
Right.
Or, I love ice cream as well as cake. Smoother.
Precisely. Connects the thoughts. Next, generality for statements that are true most of the time, but maybe not always.
Like, generally speaking, our meetings are productive.
Exactly. The source lists, in general, generally speaking, by and large, for the most part, most of the time, more often than not, usually, typically, mostly, all ways to qualify a statement as generally true.
Okay, giving examples.
This is straightforward. The source gives the main three, for example, as an example. And for instance, use these to introduce specific cases that illustrate a general point. Our new software is great. For instance, it's cut down report generation time by 50%.
Makes the general point stronger, more believable. How about emphasis?
This is for adding extra weight or support to a statement. The source gives the example, I love pie. And the transition words are in fact and as a matter of fact. So, I love pie. In fact, I ate a whole one yesterday.
Adding that extra punch. Finally, transitions for conclusion.
Right. Signaling that you're wrapping up your thoughts, summarizing, or ending a presentation. Listed from more formal to less formal. In conclusion, to conclude, to summarize, in sum, all things considered. Finally, overall, ultimately, in the end, to wrap up, to sum up, all in all.
So you could end a speech with, in conclusion, I urge you to consider. Or finish a casual summary with, so, all in all, it was a pretty good trip.
Exactly. Sets the expectation that you're finishing.
That covers the main types. But the source had a bonus tip about using these to expand simple ideas, right?
Yes, and this is a really practical technique it highlights. It shows how you can take one simple sentence and build it out into more complex, flowing explanation using different transition words. The starting example is, in general, our meetings are very productive.
Okay, simple statement. How does it expand?
First, it adds a contrasting idea. However, they usually run over time.
Introducing a downside.
Then it gives a specific example of that downside. For example, today's meeting was scheduled for an hour, but it went for an hour and 20 minutes.
Making it concrete.
Then it shows a consequence, a cause and effect. As a result, I was late for my next appointment. And finally, it adds another related point using addition. Additionally, this happens quite often, which impacts my schedule.
Wow. So you went from meetings are productive to a whole paragraph explaining a nuanced situation just by using however, for example, as a result, and additionally.
Exactly. It demonstrates how transitions allow you to layer ideas and build a much richer, more coherent explanation from a simple starting point. The source really encourages listeners to practice doing this.
That's incredibly powerful. It's not just about sounding fancy, it's about communicating more effectively and completely.
It really does make your English sound more organized and sophisticated. Okay, so we've covered general tools. Now the source zooms in on a very specific context. Essential phrases for tourists visiting North America.
Super practical if you're planning a trip, or even if you interact with tourists where you live.
Definitely. It starts by quickly recapping the basics we already covered. Standard greetings like hello, hi there, time-specific ones, and crucially, using, to get attention.
And reminding us that, is mainly for when you didn't hear or understand.
Yes, reinforcing that key distinction for travelers. How about stating why you're somewhere, like at a restaurant reception?
We have a reservation under name. Or if you're asking for information, the source stresses politeness again with, could you please tell me?
Politeness first. And the inevitable situation, you don't understand something, what phrases does the source recommend here?
It repeats the key ones. Pardon me. Excuse me, with that questioning tone. Sorry, I didn't catch that. But it adds a really important piece of advice for tourists.
Which is?
Be upfront about it. Say, sorry, English isn't my first language.
Oh, that's excellent advice. It immediately contextualizes any difficulties, and people are usually much more understanding and helpful.
Exactly. And the source says, don't be afraid to ask for what you need. Can you repeat that slower, please? Or ask about specific words. I'm not sure what X means. Or can you explain it a different way? And if all else fails, a simple, sorry, I don't understand, still works.
Practical lifelines for navigating communication hurdles. Okay, let's talk shopping. Lots of interactions there.
Right. Starting the interaction is usually just a simple greeting. When it comes to paying, the source notes card payment is pretty much the default now. Cash is less common, maybe for small vendors. They'll often just point to the card machine.
How do you ask the price of something?
Keep it simple. How much is this for one item, or how much are these for multiple?
Bags are a common point of interaction at checkout.
Yes, they might ask, do you need a bag? Or even just bag, with a rising tone. The source explains that paper bags are common now, often have a small cost, and plastic bags might be banned, so having your own reusable bag is smart. If you need one, can you give me a bag, please? Or I need to buy a bag. Putting please at the end often sounds more natural, the source notes.
Little nuances like that help. What about receipts?
They'll ask, need a receipt? Or want a receipt? Or just receipt? Your options are, no, that's okay, no thanks, or yes, please.
And those extra questions they sometimes ask before you pay. Donations, loyalty cards.
The source has a great tip here. If you've scanned your items but they ask something you don't understand before you pay, it's probably optional, like a charity donation or signing up for a store card. If you're unsure, a polite no thanks is always a safe answer.
Smart. What about in clothing stores when staff approach you?
If you're just looking, the source suggests, I'm just looking or I'm just browsing. If you do need help, I'm looking for item, like a blue scarf. Or ask where things are. Where can I find men's shoes?
Yeah.
Or ask if they stock something. Do you carry item? Like, do you carry umbrellas?
And trying clothes on, where can I try this on? Or ask for the specific rooms, where are the fitting rooms, or where are the changing rooms?
And if you might need to return something later.
Ask up front, what's your return policy? Okay, shopping covered. Now, restaurant dining, another key tourist interaction.
Arrival. Greeting, then state your party size. Table for 2, please. Or, if you booked, we have a reservation under name to make one. Can we make a reservation? They'll need to know when, how many people, and what time.
Can you request specific seating?
Yes. Do you have any tables outside or onto the patio? Can we sit by the window, please? Are there any booths available?
Dietary needs very important to communicate clearly.
Definitely. State allergies directly. I'm allergic to peanuts. For modifications, the source gives examples like, can you make that vegetarian? Or .vegan? Or .gluten-free?
How about ordering the food itself?
The most common and natural way is I'll have, followed by the dish name, like I'll have the salmon, or slightly more formal, I'd like the salmon.
And modifying orders, is that okay?
The source emphasizes that yes, modifying orders is very common and perfectly acceptable in North America. You can add things, can you add extra cheese, you can remove things, but no onions please, or hold the onions, or without onions.
Hold the onions. That's a classic restaurant phrase.
It is. You can also ask for specific preparations. Could you make it extra spicy? Or ask for things separately? Can you put the sauce on the side? Don't be shy about asking for reasonable modifications.
Good to know. What about drinks, especially water?
Ask politely. Can you bring us some water, please? They might ask sparkling or still bottled. If you just want regular tap water, the source says to reply, tap water is fine. It notes tap water is usually free and perfectly safe to drink everywhere, sometimes called house water.
Very useful local knowledge. Finding the facilities.
Ask where are the bathrooms or where are the restrooms. The source specifically advises against using the word toilets in this question.
Ah, good cultural note. What about leftovers if you can't finish your meal?
Very common to take leftovers home. Ask, can I have a to-go box, please? Or can you wrap this up or could you pack this up? All mean the same thing.
And getting the bill at the end?
When you're finished, maybe decline dessert or coffee. Then say, just the check, please, or just the bill, please. Check and bill are interchangeable. Or ask directly anytime, can you bring me the check bill, please? You might also need to ask, where do I pay, if it's not clear.
And the tipping situation.
The source explains tips, or gratuity, are rarely included automatically, but are generally expected, usually 10–20% of the bill. You typically add this yourself, often selecting an option on the card machine when you pay.
Okay. One more modern necessity, Wi-Fi.
Yes. Ask, do you have Wi-Fi? Or is there Wi-Fi here? To get the password. What's the Wi-Fi password? If it's long or complicated, the source suggests asking them to write it down, repeat slowly, or even just handing them your phone to type it in directly.
Practical tips.
Yeah.
Okay. Shifting from places to movement, getting around.
The source notes that with smartphones and GPS, asking strangers for directions is less common now, but it still provides the key phrases.
Always good to have just in case.
Right. Always start politely with, excuse me, then, excuse me, do you know how to get to place X? Excuse me, which way is place Y for transit? Excuse me, does this bus train go to destination Z? Excuse me, which bus train will take me to destination Z?
Straightforward. And that other common request tourists often make of strangers.
Asking someone to take their photo. Excuse me, do you mind taking our photo? The source highlights the ing form, gerund, after do you mind? Another option. Excuse me, could you please take our picture? Photo and picture are interchangeable here.
Perfect. And the source ends this tour section with a reassuring thought.
It does. It reminds listeners that people in North America interact with non-native English speakers all the time, are generally friendly and patient, and that having an accent or making occasional mistakes is perfectly fine and won't ruin your trip. The goal is clear communication, and these phrases help achieve that.
That's a great takeaway. It's about connection, not perfection. Okay, let's change gears significantly now. The source moves into more advanced phrases for quite formal situations, specifically mentioning things like the IELTS exam or job interviews.
Right, this is about polishing your language for situations where precision and sounding proficient really matter. The source provides over 30 phrases for this context. Where does it start?
With the basics, talking about where you live but doing it formally, the recommended core phrase is, I was born and raised in place X. It emphasizes the past simple tense and the preposition in.
Okay. How do you add more detail, like where you live now or for how long?
You can add contrast. But now I live in place Y. For duration, use the present perfect. I've lived here for over Z years. Or, for ongoing actions like living, working, studying, the present perfect continuous sounds very natural. I've been living here for over Z years.
And you can vary how you state the time period, Z years.
Yes, be specific for 5 years. Or, more general, for several years, for many years, for a number of years. Gives you flexibility.
Okay. How about talking about your work formally?
Start with your job title, and the source stresses using the article A or N. I'm a software engineer. I'm an accountant. If your position is unique, use the, often mentioning the company. I'm the marketing director at XYZ Corp.
The source suggests using a gerund statement for a general comment about your job.
Yes, this sounds quite sophisticated. Being an engineer is very rewarding. Using that ink form to start the sentence.
And talking about what you enjoy, using verbs of preference.
I love using my problem-solving skills, or I enjoy collaborating with my team. The structure is verb of preference, love, enjoy, etc., followed by a gerund ing form. The source suggests adding strong adjectives too. I enjoy brainstorming unique solutions to complex problems. Elevates the description.
Right.
Nice. And acknowledging the downsides or challenges.
Use a contrast transition word like, however, followed by maybe another gerund statement. However, being an engineer also has its challenges. Then specify the challenge, perhaps using specifically. Specifically, deadlines can be very demanding, and sometimes they have to work around the clock. Work around the clock. That's a good idiom the source includes for intense work periods.
Exactly. Combining these elements, gerunds, strong adjectives, transitions, idioms, creates a really impressive, detailed answer. How about discussing hobbies formally?
The source suggests, starting with an opinion statement, again maybe using a gerund, in my opinion, having hobbies is integral to living a fulfilling life. Shows you value work-life balance.
Okay. Then how do you state your specific hobby?
Use the phrase, I'm an avid X. Avid is the key adjective here, meaning very interested or enthusiastic. And X is the noun form of the hobby. I'm an avid hiker, an avid reader, an avid photographer, an avid guitar player. Structure is to be an avid plus noun.
Avid sounds much stronger than just I like.
It does. Then, explain why you enjoy it, perhaps with another gerund statement. Hiking gives me the opportunity to disconnect and appreciate nature. The source notes you generally use the ing form, hiking, or sometimes the activity noun, playing guitar gives me, or guitar gives me.
What if you don't really have hobbies right now? Maybe because you've been focused on work or study, but you intend to start one. How do you handle that in an interview?
The source provides great phrasing for this. You can acknowledge your past focus. Until now, my primary focus has been on my career, using present perfect. Then signal the change with, however. 2 options follow. However, I'm considering taking up hobby. Take up is the phrasal verb for starting a hobby, and consider needs the gerund taking up.
Okay, considering taking up, what's the other option?
Using would love. However, I'd love to take up hobby. Would love is followed by the infinitive to take up. You can then add the future benefit using a gerund statement. Drawing will give me a chance to express my creativity.
And you can add certainty or hope.
Yes. I am confident that drawing will, or I'm hopeful that drawing will, shows positive intention.
That's a really polished way to talk about hobbies, even future ones. Okay, family, how to describe family relationships formally.
A key phrase is, I'm from a close-knit family. Close-knit is a great adjective meaning tightly connected and supportive. An alternative. My family and I are very close.
And if everyone gets along well,
Everyone in my family gets along really well. The source points out that everyone takes a singular verb, gets, and suggests extremely well sounds even more advanced than really well.
Good tip. And that idiom about resemblance.
Everyone says I take after my mom in looks, and I take after my dad in personality. The source explains take after means to resemble someone, physically or in character. Very useful for these kinds of descriptions.
Definitely. Okay, travel. How to talk about travel aspirations formally.
Expressing desire, using would love. I'd love the opportunity to see travel to visit place. The source notes the prepositions carefully. Travel to Egypt, but see Egypt, or visit Egypt. No preposition needed before the place.
Subtle but important distinction. Using hypotheticals.
The second conditional works well here. If I could travel anywhere in the world, I'd choose Japan. Structure. If plus past simple, would plus base verb.
And using a gerund statement to show it's a high priority.
Visiting Japan is at the top of my travel list, meaning it's your #1 desired destination.
Can you make that sound like a long-held dream?
Yes, using present perfect. Traveling to Japan has been at the top of my list for as long as I can remember. Then add why. From my perspective, its unique blend of ancient tradition and modern technology is fascinating.
And the source had a very advanced phrase for expressing the anticipated enjoyment.
It did. And I'd revel in the opportunity to experience the culture firsthand. Revel in the opportunity plus infinitive means to take great pleasure or delight in the chance to do something. Sounds very sophisticated.
It really does. Fantastic phrases for formal contexts. Now, the source also included some bonus safety net phrases for clarification, right? If you're answering a question and feel like you're not expressing yourself clearly.
Yes, these are lifesavers in high-pressure situations like exams or interviews. The source recommends memorizing a few. They include, what I'm trying to say is, what I mean is, what I'm getting at is, what I'm trying to get at is.
Ways to pause and rephrase.
Exactly. Also, to put it another way, and in other words, and one that acknowledges the other person's point while clarifying yours. I get what you're saying, but. The source notes get is more casual for understand. The formal version is I understand what you're saying, but.
Having those ready can really boost confidence. Okay, that covers a lot of formal ground. Now let's zoom in even further. Advanced phrases specifically for the workplace. The source lists 25 professional phrases.
Right. These are the kinds of expressions you'll hear and want to use to sound fluent and integrated in a North American professional setting. Let's maybe pick out some key ones and discuss how the source explains their use. First up, I'm on board with that.
Okay, on board. What does that signify?
It means you agree with a proposal or plan. You support it. The source gives the example. We discussed the new marketing strategy, and the whole team is on board. It reminds us to conjugate to be, I am, he's, we're on board, and use the preposition with, on board with the plan.
Got it. Agreement and support. Are we on the same page?
We saw this earlier, but in a work context, it's specifically checking for shared understanding or agreement about a work-related topic before moving forward. Example. Okay, before we finalize the report, are we all on the same page regarding the key findings? It prevents misunderstandings later.
Crucial check-in. It's a win-win situation.
This describes a scenario where both parties or all involved benefit. The source actually uses its own masterclass as an example. The creators benefit and you, the learner, benefit. A mutually advantageous outcome.
Nice example. What are your thoughts on this?
A standard, polite way to solicit opinions or feedback at work. Much better than just, what do you think? Sometimes. The source notes you should specify the topic. What are your thoughts on the latest sales figures?
We need to think outside the box.
A very common call for creative or unconventional thinking, especially when facing a difficult problem. Our usual approaches aren't working. We really need to think outside the box for this campaign.
Encouraging innovation. Let's circle back to that later.
This means postponing discussion of a topic, usually due to time limits or needing more info. That's a valid point, but let's circle back to it after we've covered the main agenda items. The source notes it's often used as an imperative. Let's.
A common way to manage meeting agendas. We need to prioritize our tasks.
Simply means organizing work based on importance and urgency. Okay, team, we have a lot on our plates this week. Let's prioritize our tasks first thing Monday morning.
Please keep me in the loop.
A request to be kept informed about updates or progress on something. I'll be out of the office tomorrow, but please keep me in the loop on any developments with the client. The source highlights using please for politeness and the preposition on, keep me in the loop on this issue.
Good details. Have they ironed out the details?
This means asking if the specific, often complicated points of an agreement, plan, or contract have been fully resolved and clarified. Did they sign the contract? Not yet. They're still ironing out the final details. The source notes the pronunciation ironed out.
Resolving the fine print, I'm all ears.
Another idiom reappearing in the workplace. It signals you're ready and willing to listen attentively, maybe to a proposal or someone's concerns. You have an idea? Okay, I'm all ears.
Let's take a step back.
This suggests pausing the current discussion or activity to reconsider the situation from a broader perspective. We're getting bogged down in minor issues. Let's take a step back and look at the big picture, again, often used imperatively.
Gain perspective. I beg to differ.
The source describes this as a formal and polite way to state disagreement in a professional setting. It's softer than, I disagree. With all due respect, I beg to differ on that point.
Polite disagreement. I'll cut to the chase.
Used again here professionally. It means getting directly to the main point, skipping introductory remarks, often to save time or because the information is critical. Okay, everyone, I know you're busy, so I'll cut to the chase. We met the sales target. The source notes the I will structure.
Getting straight to it. Run it by the team first.
This means to share an idea or plan with a specific group or person to get their input, feedback, or approval before proceeding. It sounds like a good initiative, but run it by the marketing team first. Run it by someone.
Seeking input or approval, person calls the shots.
An idiom meaning a specific person has the authority and makes the important decisions. Don't ask me, ask Sarah. She calls the shots on this project. The source notes shots is always plural.
Identifying the decision maker. The ball's in person's court.
Used professionally, this means it's now someone else's responsibility to act or decide. We've submitted our proposal. Now the ball's in the client's court.
Shifting responsibility. We need to nip this in the bud.
Another idiom applied to work. It means stopping a small problem early before it becomes a bigger issue. I've noticed a few people bending the rules on expenses. We need to nip that in the bud right away. Notes the verb nip.
Early intervention. It's not my cup of tea.
Used even professionally to express personal dislike or lack of interest in something, usually politely. He asked me to manage the social media account, but honestly, it's not really my cup of tea.
Expressing preference politely. They hammered out the agreement.
Similar to ironed out, but often implies more negotiation or effort was involved in reaching the final agreement or plan. After 3 days of intense talks, they finally hammered out a deal, often used in the past tense.
Reaching a difficult agreement. We're swamped right now.
A very common informal way to say you're extremely busy, overloaded with work. Can you help with this? I'd love to, but I'm absolutely swamped this week. The source notes it's to be swamped, using the ed form.
Very busy. We'll take that into consideration.
A standard, somewhat formal phrase used to acknowledge feedback or a suggestion, indicating it will be thought about during decision-making without necessarily promising to adopt it. Thank you for your suggestion. We'll take that into consideration.
Acknowledging input. We need to think long-term.
Emphasizes considering the future implications of decisions, not just immediate results. This solution works now, but we need to think long-term about its sustainability.
Future focus. Sorry, I'm tied up.
Means you're busy or occupied and therefore unavailable. Could you join the call? Sorry, I'm tied up in another meeting right now. The source notes you can specify what you're tied up with.
Unavailable due to being busy. Let's put our heads together.
A call for collaboration or brainstorming, suggesting that collective thinking will yield better results. This is a tricky problem. Let's put our heads together and see what we can come up with.
Collaboration. And the last one. To play devil's advocate.
This means arguing against a position or proposal, not because you necessarily disagree, but deliberately to test its weaknesses and explore counter-arguments. I actually support the plan, but let me play devil's advocate for a moment. What if our main competitor reacts this way? It's a technique to ensure thorough consideration.
Exploring opposing views critically. Wow, that's another incredibly useful set of phrases. Using those correctly would definitely make someone sound more professionally fluent.
Absolutely. It's like learning the specific language of that environment. Okay, building even further, the source dedicates a section to advanced phrases specifically for job interviews, often tied to common questions. Over 50 expressions here.
Right, because interviews are such a high-stakes formal situation, having precise and impressive language is key. How does the source suggest tackling that all-important opening? Tell me about yourself.
It provides a crucial starting phrase. I have more than over almost X years of experience. It explains more than or over if it's above X, almost if it's just below. And it suggests using round numbers like almost 10 years if you have 9.
Okay, quantifying experience clearly. Then add your role.
Yes, as a Gaian job title. Again, stress in the article, a Gaian, you can also specify the field, in the finance field, or in the healthcare industry, or in the nonprofit sector.
Got it. How about describing your responsibilities in those roles?
Use the structure. In this role, current. In that role, past, I was responsible for. Using the correct tense. And the source makes a vital grammar point here. After responsible for, you must use a gerund verb, ending in ing.
Ah, so not responsible for manage, but responsible for managing.
Exactly. The source lists common verbs that fit. Managing, overseeing, leading, coordinating, creating, developing, reviewing, improving, streamlining, which it defines as making process efficient, analyzing.
Good list of action verbs. And the source suggests using stronger adjectives than just a lot of experience.
Yes, words like extensive experience or significant experience sound more professional. You can follow these with a gerund verb, extensive experience managing budgets, or a noun phrase, significant project management experience.
Elevating the language. Okay, education and credentials.
4 degrees. I have a bachelor, a master, a PhD in subject. Again, the article A is important. Mentioning the university and year is optional. More formal verbs. I received my master's from, or I obtained my PhD from.
And for certifications.
Similar verbs. I received, complete, obtained my certification name in your field. The source notes that if the certification acronym, like PMP, CPA, is well known in your field, you often don't need to spell it out unless asked.
Good practical tip. How about discussing personal strengths effectively?
The source suggests a transition like, as for my strengths, then highlight a quality using, I'm extremely adjective. It recommends extremely over really or very for a stronger impression. Common adjectives listed include hardworking, committed, trustworthy, honest, focused, methodical, proactive.
And team player is handled differently.
Yes, the source points out it's a noun phrase, I'm a team player, not I'm extremely team player.
Right. What about specific skills, like the ones often listed in job ads, communication, problem solving, etc.?
The structure recommended is, I have advanced superior excellent skills. Skills mentioned include time management, communication, adaptability, problem solving, teamwork, creativity, leadership, interpersonal skills, attention to detail. Choose the adjective that fits your level.
And there's a specific adjective for work ethic.
Yes, the source highlights it's always, I have a strong work ethic. Use strong specifically here.
And you can combine these strength statements.
Definitely. I have superior communication skills, and I'm also extremely proactive and have a strong work ethic. Layering them shows multiple strengths.
Okay. For the question, why are you interested in this position? What kind of phrasing works well?
The source focuses on growth and gaining experience. Phrases like, I'm looking for an opportunity to further my skills in X, or to develop my skills in X, or I'm looking for an opportunity to gain experience in the Y field industry sector. Connects your goals to the role.
Right, showing ambition and relevance. Finally, how does the source suggest concluding an answer or the interview itself to leave a really positive, lasting impression?
It stresses ending strongly, not just trailing off or saying a simple thank you. It provides a powerful template. I believe I'm confident that my extensive X skills, mention a key skill relevant to the job, would make me a valuable asset to your company team organization.
Connecting your skills directly to their needs.
Exactly. And then add a forward-looking statement, and I look forward to the opportunity to contribute to your goals. The source advises tailoring this, mentioning specific skills from the job description, and referencing the company's actual goals if you know them.
That's a very strong, confident closing. And the source included a practice tip related to this.
Yes, it suggested practicing answering, tell me about yourself, using all these different phrases. The guide itself prompted users to do it in its comment section, but the takeaway for you, the listener, is to actively practice constructing these kinds of answers yourself.
Practice is definitely the key to making these advanced phrases feel natural when you need them.
Absolutely. We have covered an enormous amount of ground today, dissecting this vocabulary masterclass, from the nuances of simple greetings all the way through idioms, opinions, transitions, tourist essentials, and these very specific advanced phrases for work and interviews.
It's a truly comprehensive toolkit. The sheer number of phrases and strategies for expressing even simple ideas differently is quite staggering when you lay it all out.
And the core message seems to be that by understanding the context, the subtle variations, and how to actually use these phrases, you really can significantly shift how natural you sound, how well you understand native speakers, and just how confident you feel navigating all sorts of English-speaking situations.
This deep dive aimed to give you that structured understanding quickly, highlighting those aha moments from the source material without overwhelming you, moving you from just knowing words to using the language fluidly.
It's like getting the playbook for more natural communication.
It really is. And reflecting on everything we've unpacked, the dozens of ways to say thank you, or I don't know, the layers of formality, the richness of idioms. What does all that variety tell us about the English language itself, about its flexibility? And maybe more importantly for you, the listener, how could trying out just one or two new phrases from this deep dive potentially change the feel of your very next conversation?
That's a great question to ponder, something to take away and experiment with.
Definitely food for thought.